rolling, beating the shorthanded Raptors 112-97, taking a commanding 2-0 series lead as they head to Toronto for Game 3 tomorrow. We expected Philly to be good with MVP candidate Joel Embiid and James Harden, but the team is also getting big minutes from Tobias Harris and young guard Tyrese Maxey. The Sixers really have it all going. JJ, are you surprised at how they're dominating the Raptors to this extent?
I am actually surprised a little bit at how much they have dominated this series. The Raptors look completely outmatched. Philly's more physical than them. They've got more size than them. Going into this series, I thought this was going to be one of the most fascinating first-round series. You've got Pascal Siakam, who probably will be on an All-NBA team this year. Fred VanVleet, who's a fringe All-NBA player this year, will get some votes for that third team, made the All-Star game. You've got Nick Nurse, a championship head coach with a great pedigree, who's great at making adjustments. I didn't see any adjustment between Game 1 and Game 2. The adjustment I saw was we're going to be super physical in the first 10 minutes of the game, and we're going to be more aggressive trying to get to the basket and create pass and kick opportunities. In terms of how they're guarding Philly, though, it's a bunch of guys in gaps against James Harden and a bunch of guys in a dig position against Joel Embiid. Those guys are going to put up numbers, but what that has allowed the Sixers to do is just make target practice passes for target practice shots. The amount of set threes that Philly shooters are getting in this series is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. No one within 5 feet of them. And so that's the adjustment you're going to have to make. You're going to have to pick a poison. You're going to have to be willing to die with that poison. And right now, they're just giving up too much. And you brought up Tyrese Maxey. He has emerged in this season, but specifically in these first 2 games, as a legitimate star. He's a phenomenal basketball player and fun to watch. And he does a little bit of everything. Half court, full court, in transition. Love watching him score the basketball.
I like Maxey a lot. I really, really do. But he's averaging 30 in this series. Let's pump the brakes. This is more about what the Toronto Raptors are not, more so than what the Toronto Raptors are, because I think all of us know that Tyrese Maxey is not going to average 30. Okay? Not when you talk about as we venture deeper into the playoffs against different competition. What we're looking at in the Toronto Raptors squad is a team that's relatively depleted, but more importantly, one that's absolutely petrified by Joel Embiid. They preoccupy themselves with everything he's doing. You got the coach complaining about fouls at every single turn. And as a result, Maxey and Tobias Harris have been able to get off somewhat. And as a result, we haven't required but so much from James Harden, particularly in Game 2. So we shall see. In the end, I am somewhat surprised because I think that when you look at Siakam and VanVleet and others, this is a team that's got some championship pedigree. I certainly expected them to shoot better from three-point range that they have thus far in this year. I think they shot like 12 or 30 in the first game, 11 or 30 in the first game, and like 12 or 32 in the second game. You just look at them right now. They just seem a bit disoriented, a bit overwhelmed. I did not expect that. I expected the Sixers to win this series, but I didn't expect them, the Raptors, to look completely overwhelmed. But that's a testament to the greatness of Joel Embiid, the impact that he has had, and just as equally, to some degree at least, to the point that the Toronto Raptors are just not what they used to be. They're building something. I give Masai Ujiri credit. They're not a part of the championship equation this year. We all know that, but at least they didn't stink like some teams did in L.A. and New York, to be specific, this season. At least they didn't do that to the country of Canada, okay? At least they didn't do that.
I was surprised how dominant they were in Game 1. Game 2, to a lesser degree, I mean, Gary Trent Jr. couldn't play. He didn't feel well. Scotty Barnes, who finalist for Rookie of the Year, unavailable. And they just can't match up with the Sixers flat out. I also think when you look at momentum baskets in that game, even when they cut it to 11, Maxey hits a 3. Danny Green is out dunking like we reversed the clock 3 years ago. James Harden is jumping into passing lanes and getting steals in the backcourt. Like, what is happening? And I just think Tyrese Maxey has been so fun and so energizing for the entire Sixers roster on both sides of the basketball. I actually was watching last night like, wow, look at how they're moving defensively, how connected they are, how they were closing gaps compared to what the Raptors left on the table. And so, again, same thing for me in the conversation with the Warriors-Nuggets series. At this point, this has now become a bad matchup, but credit to the Sixers for taking care of business and leaving no doubt, because there was a time in the regular season where this might not have been as convincing a performance, and so they've handled business.
I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring up the fact that things could potentially be a slight bit different in Canada. I mean, after all, Mr. Thibault, who forgot that you're supposed to take 2 shots of the vaccine and ended up only taking 1, is ineligible to play against the Toronto Raptors because those games are in Canada. Who knows whether or not that's going to affect their bench?
It's not.
It's not. He only played 10 minutes last night, I think.
It's not.
Yeah.
I understand that.
To Monica's
road
point,
games are different.
To Monica's point, you know, I said Maxi's a star, and what I mean by that, do I mean he's reached the level of a Steph Curry or a Giannis or someone like? No, but there are stars, and there's stars in your role,
Star
and
moment,
what he's doing is starring in that role. He is maximizing that role as that second or third option offensively. Monica brought up that 3 he made. They cut it to 11. Costly turnover. He comes down, stones, pull-up 3 in transition. There's a joy and a confidence.
Yeah.
And I really believe this. Even as a young player, Philly is feeding off of that joy, that energy, that confidence. That
JJ Redick.
has.
JJ Redick, I got very bad news for you before we get to Molly and go to break. Very bad news for you.
Let's hear it.
That little
Didn't get a reservation at Catch tonight.
Listen to me. Not yet.
No,
not yet.
no.
Not yet. I'm working on
That's
another
Mondays.
spot.
Tuesdays,
But here's the
something
deal.
different.
Here's the deal, JJ Redick. I got very, very bad news for you. That little soliloquy you just went on to explain everything, they're still going to misquote you. Everywhere you turn. Welcome to the world of First Take.
Stephen,
They're going to misquote. It's as eloquent as you were in your
I've had a
explanation.
podcast for 6 years. You guys misquote me. I work for ESPN, and ESPN misquotes me.
What's your
Come on, man, I know this.
What's your podcast
I promise you, it is nothing compared to what you in store for. Wait, don't look on social media. I promise you they're going to misquote you. No matter how eloquent you were and how clear you were, watch you get misquoted. Kids coming. Welcome to the world of First Take. Welcome to the
old man
world.
in the 3. Thank you for the free plug. I appreciate that.
Great pod.
You got to toughen up, my brother. You got to learn to deal with it. It's coming. You'll be all right. You'll be okay.
Monica, do you have to leave?
I think I'm out. I got some other shows to do.
You did good, Monica. You
Thank
did good.
you.
You did
Thank
good.
you, you know.
I
Gotta
mean, I
do
don't
the
know
chair
about
right.
that collar. I mean, it just throws
Listen,
me off.
somebody said I look like Austin Powers, and I started cracking up. But Molly knows I love a pink and red.
Monica,
I just said, I don't know.
I love that combo together.
Thank
you, boo.
They just don't appreciate it. Still to come on First Take. I thought you went to FIT for a year or whatever you bragged earlier. The draft blitz rolls along as we head to AFC South. So which teams in a better position heading into the 2022 division champion Titans or the new look called